Latest project. Give you a quick overview of what I've done. It builds on the last videos in the series where I've added an accessory fuse panel and I've added another circuit, 15 amp circuit, and this circuit will control a horn and turn signals and a couple accessory positions on the dash. Okay, so I've added this custom panel here. I bought this on Amazon, but it just had 3 generic switches, a USB charger, and a 12-volt port. I replaced the charger with a voltage meter, and then I replaced one of the switches with a momentary horn switch. These are going to be my left turn signal, right turn signal, and then if you have them both on, they will be the hazard flashers. So, how I did it. This kind of came pre-wired, but I kind of had to redo everything. On the back here, I added a electronic turn signal flasher. And just a piece of advice, I'll put the part number in the description, but you have to use one that's meant for LEDs, and you have to use one that has its own ground. If you try to use one that doesn't have a ground, even though it says it's for LEDs, I tried a couple of them, they just didn't work. Did not work at all. I picked up this one for $10. It has a separate ground wire that comes out of the top, and it works perfect. And I'll show you how it works here in just a minute. So I've got this all wired up, and it'll look like this. Still have room to add my radio, which will be another project. And this is what it looks like. It looks pretty sharp. So when you turn on the ignition, you'll have your battery voltage. We've got our horn. We've got our left turn signal. Got our right turn signal. Like I said, if you turn them both on, they flash. So I chose to mount the turn signals right here. There's a lot of different options all over the front. This probably wasn't the best option for visibility, but I thought it was the best option for looks. I mean, after all, these turn signals is kind of just a silly project for me. Here where I live, there's no way to make this thing actually street legal. It's basically just a piece of farm equipment. The nice thing about these LEDs is they have a parking light function. So I have them wired up. They're 3-wire. You have your your white wire, which is like the lower voltage, or not lower voltage, but a dimmer light for your parking light function. Let me turn off the flashers so you can see. So when you turn your headlights, you also have the marker lights, and they'll flash brighter for your turn signals. So I just added, like I said, the circuit onto here. I've got the wiring running from the, basically the power just runs into the control panel on the dash, and then runs through the flasher, and then out to each side. There's separate wiring that goes out to each side. I also added a horn at the same time. Like I said, a momentary switch. When you actuate the horn switch, it honks the horn. What I did for the horns is I mounted them down here, and I actually used 2 horns, so I wouldn't have the traditional foreign sounding horn. It's a nice American sounding low note and a high note horn. And I had to get a little tricky how I mounted them, but I managed to fit them back here. And the wiring runs up and back into the dash. So I think the horn sounds really good. Sounds just like any modern American car horn. So the only thing I haven't got done yet, which I should make another video about, is wiring up the back. Right now I've got this wire hooked up here, which I'm going to be running to the back. And I do have a solution for something that looks pretty slick. I thought up this idea on my own, and then after doing a little research, I figured out that obviously I'm not the first one who's thought of this. But I'm basically going to use a taillight converter. This one's a Taillight part number 119130. So what I'm going to do is, if you look on here, it's meant for like a foreign car or a car that has separate turn signals. So I can plumb in the Honda Pioneer brake light circuit into this, the parking light circuit, and then the right and left turn signals, which is what I've got running from my switches on the dash. And then it will output just the stop signal, turn signal side of things. So basically, instead of adding, like some people do, just drilling a hole and putting a separate signal, which I think looks like garbage, I'm going to make the factory brake lights flash as the turn signals. And like I said, to accomplish that, it's basically, if you think of the back of the Pioneer like a trailer, then this will make sense to you. I'm just basically adding a way to flash the turn signal while the other brake light stays on by doing this. So the easiest way I found was with this $15 taillight converter. Just like make sure it's one that has its own ground. Once again, that way it has active electronics on the inside. Otherwise, it probably will not work. Alright, so maybe this video gave you an idea. If you have any specific questions, leave a comment below and I'll try to answer it. And I'll have another video once I get the back wired up.